it up, swashbucklers! You're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 167. My name's Phil Johnson. I'm your host for the show today. Each and every week, I'm here for you, and you are here listening, and that is fantastic. Thanks for telling your friends and tuning in and listening and visiting sponsors, sending donations, all that cool stuff that you do that helps me keep the old boat afloat. Episode number 167, fun fact about the number 167, Martina Navratilova has 167 tennis titles. That is the all-time record for men and women. She's got them all. Like, that's probably the complete collection. If there were anything even close to that number, it would be how many tennis titles I don't have. I have not 167 tennis titles because I am terrible at tennis. If you want a ball in the street, like not only over the net, but over the big chain link fence and right into the street, I'm perfectly good at that, but not at real tennis. All right, look, today's show, I've got some fantastic guests. Hurricane Robb and Crimson Kat from Pirates of the Coast are here. Yeah, from all the way up in Seattle. We don't get enough West Coast action on the Pirates, for a lot of stuff. But we're going to talk about the lengthy history of pirate fandom in Seattle, which is stuff I didn't really know about. So you're going to learn some stuff here. They're going to talk about, how to run. They're running their thing as a business rather than a volunteer social group kind of thing, and the advantages that carries. Great talk. You're going to really enjoy it. They've got a great story about how they met that is pirate-based. And you're going to see that. You're going to hear it. You're not going to see it. Well, actually, you can see it. I take that back. If you go to the show notes for this episode at underthecrossbones.com/167, you will see the picture of the night they met, about the story that you're going to hear at the end of our talk. So it's all good. All that stuff is coming up. I've been light the last couple days. Did you have a good Thanksgiving? If you're in the U.S., if you're not in the U.S., did you have a good regular work week? I didn't do much at all for the last few days. I ate. Currently in the process of trying to lose the 7 pounds I gained in the last week, and we just chilled. And that is a trap. The chill couple of days at home, right? It's one thing when you're on vacation, you're coming back to work, but when you're chilling at home and not doing much, oh man, it's a tough Monday morning. Which is when I'm doing this. So it's all good. It's all good. But back on the road here, coming up real quick. So a show's coming up this Wednesday, November the 28th. I'll be at the Outpost Saloon in Waterford, California. Yeah, I never heard of Waterford either until I got booked for this show. December the 6th, I'll be at Freewheel Brewing in Redwood City, California. On December the 9th, I'll be doing a Toys for Tots benefit at a P.F. Chang's in Walnut Creek, California. Yeah, never thought I'd be playing a P.F. Chang's, but it's for a good cause. We're doing it for Toys for Tots. On December the 12th, I will be at the Mill Casino in Coos Bay, Oregon. 2 shows that night. Ooh, and I'm driving for 9 hours to get there. Going to be a long one. On December the 13th, I'll be at the Mount Shasta Vets Club in Mount Shasta, California. December 14 and 15, I'll be at Chadwick's in Medford, Oregon, and a bunch of some other Oregon, Washington, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Florida, all sorts of stuff coming up. Go check out the tour dates on underthecrossbones.com. Click the tour dates button, and you can see when I'm coming to tell jokes and sing songs in your neck of the sea, right there. We are sponsored today by Pyrates Clothing. Hang on. Sorry, I forgot to close my door when I do this. Normally, people don't interrupt. Hang on one second. But, hey, whoa, hey, who are you? No, hey, get out of my office, man. Who are you? Hey, no.
It is I, Captain Juan Medina Heinrich Gunther Matteo Brito Lichtenstein. Oh, I am the pirate with a vague accent, or as my friends call me, Steve. And I'm here today. I will do the Harry today. By the way, my name, Little Burrito, Little Donkey, it means there is nothing little about this burrito. I will do the Harry today. Today, my friends, Under a Crossbones is sponsored by Pyrates Clothing. Their brand new website is a gosh darn pirate utopia of shirts and hats and clothing and swimwear, oodle bikinis and more, steeped in the lore of pirates and treasure. Perfect for your next Caribbean cruise or trip to the Florida Keys. Stay away from my ship when you're in the Florida Keys. Do not come near. And they add new gear weekly. Yes. Go check out www.pirateclothing.com and be sure to click the ship wheel on the website to get in on Blackbeard's treasure hunt. I do not like this Blackbeard, him with his one name, one tiny measly piddly little name, the Blackbeard. Meh. Go grab yourself some gear now at www.pirateclothing.com. Need a custom order for your crew? Hey, be quiet over here. Need a custom order for your crew? Then call them up at 1-877-607 Loot like booty, shake your booty. That is 1-877-607-LOOT. Steve, out!
All right, come on, you whack job. Get the hell out of here. Come on, jeez. Well, I don't exactly know what that was all about, but anyway, pirateclothing.com is where you go and get that. I gotta lock that door or something. Look, if you're enjoying the show, and I hope you are, come join us over on Facebook. It's facebook.com/underthecrossbones. We're having lots of fun over there, posting up all sorts of good stuff. On Twitter, we're at undercrossbones, no the in that one. And of course, make sure that you are subscribed in whatever your favorite podcast app is, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Slacker, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Make sure you click that subscribe button. You'll get our new episodes every single Tuesday as soon as they come out. And of course, all the show notes for this episode are at underthecrossbones.com/167. All right, let's get into my interview now with Hurricane Robb and Crimson Kat from Pirates of the Coast. I'm going to go put a lock on my door. Robb and Kat from Pirates of the Coast. You guys are basically, would you classify yourselves as an entertainment group to keep it nice and general and open to the possibilities?
I would say probably yes. Wouldn't you, Rob? Or?
Yeah, I think that's the best description of us, yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the variety, because I was looking over your website. You guys do a bunch of different stuff. Tell me a little bit about the variety of things that you would do as pirates on your gigs.
We're kind of an unusual group because we do just about everything. Historically, we've done reenactment, we've done stage plays, we've done, of course, music, we've done parades, and we've done festivals, and so we have a wide range of things that we do.
Uh-huh.
I think the biggest thing we do is improvisation is our strength. Is that unlike a lot of performers in the world, we really love it when we're one-on-one with somebody and making some magic out of nothing. Probably the best times we ever have is those moments.
Interesting. Do you have a background in improv that comes from, or did that just naturally occur as you got into it?
I think that it's mostly just the part of our DNA that we just really love the up close magic that you can do with like a magician does with card tricks in their hand.
Uh-huh.
You can do big stage things that will, make buildings disappear. And that's a different type of magic. What we love is the close up interaction with people, with kids, with, just with the public.
Children of all ages.
Okay. All right. It's funny because it strikes me as very different from my business, which is as a comedian, where we want everybody to please sit on the other side of the room and listen to me talk. We're terrible at one-on-one conversations.
Yeah, I think that's exact. I mean, that's true. And there is a very different kind of comedy that comes out of improvisation versus prepared pieces. And we can do the prepared side. We can do stage shows. We've done an hour or two on stage just playing music.
Uh-huh.
But I think we get a lot more out of, as we call it, table hopping, where we just go from table to table or from person to person at a festival or at a restaurant or any place we're at, and just finding out about the person and then playing off of that and riffing from there on.
Interesting. That's really cool. That sounds like at some point when you started, it was just a matter of saying yes to whatever opportunity came your way and then figuring out how to do it. Was that kind of the story?
Yeah. When I started as a pirate, there weren't many pirates around. There was only one group really that was in the United States at the time. It was a group up here in Seattle, and they had about 40 members, and they asked me to join, and they basically threw me to the wolves from day one.
Okay.
Their group was very much one-on-one entertainment with people. And so I had to learn and luckily I learned from people who had been doing it 20, 30 years before me. And I've been doing it now for 35 years.
Wow.
So some of these pirates had been doing it since 1949, 1950.
Wow. That even somehow mentally doesn't even make sense to me that people were doing that in the 40s and 50s. Cause that's not ever an element of American culture you hear about at that point.
Unless you live in Seattle.
I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, we all grow up. We all grew up with that. We grew up with pirates being a part of Seattle.
Interesting. And is that the Seafair group you're talking about there?
Without naming names, yes.
Okay. All right. So let's go back in your history a little bit. How did your group start, and why?
I was originally part of the other Seattle group, and it came time to leave, and so I took the core of the entertainment group away from them, and we started another group called the Northwest Pyrates.
Okay.
And that kind of ran its course for us, and so we went off and started our own group, and it was originally just called the Pyrates, and we were actually going to do our logo as a barcode, just do this black white stripes like a barcode in a grocery store. Over time, it morphed into Of the Coast, because people said, well, you're the Pirates, but from where? And so we said Of the Coast, and they said, which coast? We said, any coast, we're good.
There's water, we're there.
And so we work a little differently because we're not really a club. We're not really a social group. We actually treat ourselves more like a business.
Okay.
We kind of have a business model as far as running the group, which has taken us into places that a lot of others have not been able to go. And that's been kind of a fortunate decision for us.
It eliminates some of the politics that you get with that type of thing by having it be a business model. You don't run into, well, I want to be in charge. It's what do you call it, Rob? A benevolent dictatorship?
Yes, it's a benevolent dictatorship.
But it works. I've been a part of groups where there has been so much politics and so much, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. Nobody was really in charge.
Right.
And, they could go off and, this week they're pirates, next week they could be clowns.
Yeah.
Just so long as they're doing, we are pirates, and we set the tone and give the direction.
Yeah, I think when you have a project like that where you go, okay, here's the leader, here's the plan, here's what we're doing. It does eliminate a lot of that stuff. I mean, just having been in bands that were the equivalent of a social group versus bands where I go, I'm the leader and I'm hiring you guys. Yeah, it's a world of difference in how much less hassle there is with that kind of stuff. So that's a great way to do it. And I imagine that was just learning from experience all the way around. What was the first gig that you guys did as the Pirates, the generic Pirates or Pirates of the Coast, when you split off? Did you have that business plan in mind right from the very beginning?
No, it just kind of happened. It's again, some of us have just been friends for years, and so we have gone wherever the wind has blown us. And so when we decided to do this, we just decided, let's just go ahead and do that. When we originally started when we started the Pyrates, we just went down to the band again. We just had a very small group of 4 of us, and kind of branched out from there and left that as the core. We found out over the years that being able to play music is probably the best door opener ever.
Sure.
Certainly, even when there's only been just 2 of us, we famously just bring in our instruments in their cases, set them down on the bar, buy a drink in a bar, for instance, and it probably is within 10 minutes, some regular of the bar is going to say, when are you going to play those things? And we'll say, well, we don't know. If it's okay with the bartender, and he'll say, hey, Jim, can they play some songs? And off we go. And a couple hours later, we're still there having a great time with people and lifted their spirits. I think that's one of the greatest things about being a pirate. Unlike being anything else you could possibly be that I can think of, as a pirate, you can walk into anywhere and people expect magic. If I was to walk into a bar as a clown, they might beat me up. If I walked in armor and tried to be a knight, they'd probably run for their lives.
Right.
Being a pirate's this magic kind of romantic thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. You're right. People will always ask about an instrument case. And every time I get on a plane, somebody will go, you going to play for us? I'm like, no, we're on a plane. You don't want that.
As I walk down the aisle, I always tell them that we're their in-flight entertainment today.
Well, we always fly with our tricorns on, because who wants to pack a tricorn? So whenever we go anywhere, we always take our gear with us, and we wear our gear on the plane.
Nice.
It just makes it more fun for us.
Sure. Yeah.
And a lot less to pack.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So let's go back even farther. Why pirating in the first place? So you said you've been doing it since, 30 years. I can't do math. 1978 ish.
1982. I
82. Okay.
First became a pirate. Yeah, that's
all right.
Say it.
So how did that happen? And how did you get into it?
Again, it goes back to a band. My two brothers and I had a band, a little kind of jug band group.
It was a jug band.
And we were seen by one of the members of the Seafair Pirates, and we were invited to be honoraries for Seafair, which is the big festival here. So for 10 days, we played pirate. We stayed in a hotel, and from morning till night, we played pirate every day. And by the time I was done with that, I was hooked. I didn't care if I'd ever go to work again or go home. I was ready to be a pirate.
Nice.
And so I joined from there and went through they do a year of candidacy where you basically are junk, as we used to say it. You're treated like chattel because you clean ashtrays, you clean the duck, you load it with beer. Back then we used to have 2 garbage cans full of beer aboard, so you had to load that in the morning, and you had to do all the nasty work. And they just tried to find your breaking point. And so that was one of the big things that we still do today is where's your breaking point of being a pirate? Because we don't want somebody that is a mean drunk.
Sure.
We don't want somebody that suddenly flips out because they can't handle a situation we're in. And so we even now test their mettle.
Yep.
Interesting. And Kat, how did you get into it?
That's a good question. I was newly divorced and my kids were spending a lot of time at their dad's during the summer. And so I was bored and needed something that was going to be a creative outlet. I had a history of doing theater and music, and I just wanted something that was an outlet. And pirates always seemed like a good idea. It was always like my favorite costume at Halloween or whatever.
Okay.
And loved pirates. And this was just before the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, the first one, came out. So I, had heard that this was going on. I'm like, oh yeah, pirates. But it was before the movie came out, so it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to make myself one of those characters.
Right.
I mean, the world needs more Jack Sparrows, right? So I just found my own place and found a great forum called Piracy. It was called Piracy Pub.
Yeah.
And it was posting boards, and I just went on there and just started talking to people and seeing what was out there, and it started to grow. And actually applied to the Seafair Pirates as a man. And when they called me for the interview, they saw right through it somehow and said, "You're not a dude."
How Anne Bonny of you.
Right. I know. Hello. So they pointed me to a women's group, which was called the Wenches of Waterland, which was kind of like a women's auxiliary that was unofficial for them.
Okay.
And so, we had a wench group, and we did that for a few years, and it goes on from there to parade groups and all kinds of other things. But we did a lot of philanthropic work.
That's great.
As pirates.
That's really cool. What was your theater background like?
It was mostly community theater. Theater in school, a lot of community. I helped with doing costuming, makeup, and even sang with the Seattle opera.
Oh,
so
nice.
I did some big theater, lots of little theater, though. Lots of little theater, makeup design, costuming design, things like that. So
what was it like going from the constrained dimensions of a theater stage into taking those skills out into a now non-constrained open area place where you could just do anything you wanted or needed to do?
It's like in the other area, it was a job, and it was like you had all those things. Yes, it was very constrained. Being able to take that ability and those talents outside of that, and then use them in the fun settings of being out in public, where it wasn't expected. It opens up all kinds of possibilities. It taught me more of what my strengths were and how to have more fun and encourage other people to have fun in the same venues, just by leading by example and being crazy. Let somebody else take those things. And what are you doing? Hurricane's running around here. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. No, it was just very freeing. And, it's no holds barred, take your humor where it leads you.
Sure.
Nobody's going to say, you can't say that. Especially as a pirate, you can say things that you wouldn't usually be able to say in public.
Certainly. Oh yeah.
It's doing some parades at some points. We had this little thing where I would swoon in front of the firemen and say, "Oh, damsel in distress, help me out of it, boys." And it was, you could get away with things.
Yeah.
You could take your natural humor and amplify it.
Yeah, there's definitely the power of the performer in. We always call it the power of the microphone, but in your case, you're not even using microphones. You're using the power of the costuming, I suppose, to set you apart and be able to say things that most in polite society would not get away with.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the few instances where a woman is okay being called, "Hey, wench,
Sure.
come here."
That's not one you want to pull out at the Walmart.
Right.
Right. I think one of the differences as far as the way we do our performances or appearances as pirates is a lot of pirates in the world that we've met along the way look fantastic. They have a brace of guns. They have the plumage. They have these amazingly embroidered coats. And the difference is with us is when we meet people, we let them be the show. They're the star. We are, as we always say, we're kind of the court jester in a court of kings.
Okay.
We are the jester. We are the butt of the joke. We are always the ones that are subservient to the person. We let them shine with their friends or with their family. We let them be the star.
Uh-huh.
And that's a very reversed role that a lot of pirates don't do in that we come across in festivals and stuff is they want to be the show. Instead, we want the audience to be the show.
What kind of techniques do you use to put that spotlight on the person you're dealing with?
A famous one is if they tell us a pirate joke, which is about what's a typical pirate joke?
What's a pirate's favorite letter?
Right.
We will act like we've never heard it before in our lives.
Okay.
And laugh hysterically. And they are so proud of themselves. They told us a joke and they connected with us.
Uh-huh.
And we are just a great audience for that.
That's interesting. Yeah. Being the audience for what they're doing for you.
It's hard to do because you have to check your ego at the door a little bit.
Certainly.
And realize that the real payback is when they will remember you forever. And, famously, I've had people come back years later and they say, do you remember me?
Uh-huh.
And I'll say, and they'll say, I sure remember you.
Yeah.
And they will tell me a story about how we interacted. And to me, that's amazing to be remembered by someone like that.
Certainly. Yes, absolutely. That just happened to me this morning, actually. And it was pretty cool. The funny thing is people will come up and talk to comedians after, and they'll want to tell us a joke.
Right.
And invariably, 95% of the time, it is one of the most horrible, racist, unbelievable jokes that you will ever hear. And then they go, "You can use that." And I'm like, "What about my act makes you think I would use that?"
Right.
Right.
So I think at the pirate festivals, they're probably tamer jokes, fortunately, because you hear the same ones over and over.
Every now and then we will hear one that we had never heard before, and then it really, it's like, wow. We need to remember that. We never remember them. But still,
right.
There have been a couple of times where we've actually heard new pirate jokes.
Every once in a while, they happen.
Every once in a while. Yeah.
They happen. So do you have, it sounds like the music from the beginning was a pretty important particular part of the business and the act and all that kind of stuff. How do you classify your pirate music? Are you doing just traditional shanties and things? Or are you writing original stuff?
Yes.
All right.
We do everything from like Kingston Trio, Peter, Paul, and Mary, the 60s folk era, sure, to nautically inspired songs, as we call, because really sea shanties historically were done by whalers. And as we always say, that any song that a pirate would actually sing to you in a bar, you probably couldn't ever listen to it because it was usually pretty ribald.
Right.
We do some originals. We do some parodies. We just do pretty much whatever the audience would like. We're pretty versatile and diverse.
Okay. What are you parodying?
I wrote a song. MTA was a Kingston Trio song that was done about the subway system in Boston. I rewrote it for the Metro Transit system here when they built a tunnel.
Okay.
So we do about getting Charlie off the MTA. We do a song about Ted Bundy. To the Kingston Trio's Tom Dooley.
Okay.
We do famously the Ballad of O.J. Simpson. So we do some really, really odd little parodies. My strange sense of humor.
Oh, I like it. So I think it's interesting that Seattle, that like you said, you guys grew up with the pirate thing in Seattle, because growing up with the pirate thing is generally an East Coast thing. because that's where the history is. And certainly here in California, we have very little of that outside of the Disneyfication of pirates, which is where I grew up with it. Why is that a thing in Seattle? Why does Seattle have that pirate culture to it?
Well, that really goes back to the start of Seafair. And Seafair, they wanted to build tourism for the community, so they wanted to have a nautical festival. And they originally had a King Neptune, was the
king of the festival.
The king of the festival. But they didn't have any nemesis. And so they went to the reporters here, the news reporters, and they had a group and said, what can you give to us? And so they said, well, how about pirates? And originally the pirates were very clownish. They wore grease paint and stuff. And over time, they got these big swords and so they became the counter to King Neptune. So they would King Neptune would be opening the ceremonies. The pirates would show up and take over the festival. They had a landing at the beach. They would take over the city for the week, and then they got thrown back out of town. And so that kind of became the story of Seafair. It gave it a reason to exist.
That's really interesting. And so that was a thing that you would do as kids and families and go out and see that type of stuff?
All of the community parades and everything, the Seafair Pirates would go to, and they would be a presence there.
Interesting.
Because they would all be sanctioned by Seafair to do the community parades as well. And so even if you grew up in Renton and never went to the Seafair parade, you had an experience with the Seafair Pirates. And so it was just like, pirates, they're not clowns.
Right.
But they were always bigger than me growing up. They were always a bigger than life experience for me, because I would go to the parades and always loved the pirates.
And famously, I don't even barely remember them. I really didn't even know who they were when I joined. I saw them in the parades on TV and stuff, but it didn't connect that they were really a year-round organization. And so I didn't even have any idea of what it was like to be a pirate. I never played pirate as a kid. I always played Army because I had a Tommy gun, and that was fun. And so I had no idea about the pirate culture, what it was like being a pirate, or how to be a pirate.
So for you, it was just you kind of got sucked in on the jug band thing and then discovered what it was. So you didn't grow up with it as much then. Is that what you're saying? I
grew up around it, but wasn't really aware of it.
And was the jug band thing, was that just coming out of what it sounds like you have a fairly extensive folk music background?
No, I got into the band because the lead singer quit, and I had just learned to play banjo.
Oh, okay.
And so I had never sang before. The very first time I sang was at the Bunkhouse Tavern in Renton. And I remember I drank about 2 pitchers of beer because I was so scared. And we only knew about 10 songs at the time. And, and I made my way through it. It was a very scary thing for me to learn. Number one, play an instrument that wasn't like in a concert band, because that's where my music background came from, was, junior high and high school concert band.
Okay.
So to switch to a stringed instrument and then sing lead was really scary because I'd never sang before in my life. Kat, of course, is the more classically trained singer of us.
Yeah. No. Well. You pick up the skills wherever you can pick up the skills, right?
Yeah, I'm an okay singer and musician, but I would say that I'm a great entertainer.
Absolutely.
That's my strong suit, is entertaining.
It sounds you guys have done loads of different gigs for loads of different people, all sorts of age. There was one on your bio on your website that was singing at a convention during a power outage. Tell me about that one.
Oh, the Great Seattle Blackout. Yeah, we showed up to sing it was a convention of about 800 people in the ballroom and at the Westin Hotel in downtown Seattle. And we showed up. We were only supposed to do an hour of stage, and the power went out. And so we just started roaming around the crowd, mingling. We'd go to different little small groups of people. They had turned on the emergency lights. And so we went ahead and started singing to the small groups. And the guy came up afterwards and said, "Can you stay a little longer?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, how much would it be?" I said, $250. And he says, $250 more than the hour? And I said, "No, just the $250 you paid us. We were afraid you're going to kick us out." And so we did 2 more hours straight. Another hour after that, because we said, well, we're going to take a break now. And then I found Bobby Smythe, our uke player, was over in a corner singing to people. So, of course, I couldn't take a break. And that just started another hour. And then the manager of the Westin asked us to come downstairs and play for guests in the lobby. And he says, "What's that going to cost us?" And I said, "We'll take free drinks." And so we went down there and we did our 5th hour of performance in the dark
Holy cow.
It was pretty funny. It was really a great gig. And we've done a few of those since where we've just not stopped performing.
Really? I understand the sentiment behind that, certainly, but I get tired after a while. Don't you get tired?
Well, it's amazing because we actually don't get that adrenaline drop until we are completely done.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
It just, we ride that wave of adrenaline of performing and just continue on until we just can't go any further. After experiences like that, we're usually flat for a day.
Oh, sure.
You know, it's just like we don't plan to go and do anything or be anywhere the day after we know we have a big gig because we give everything. We give our heart and soul and every ounce of energy into that performance and that interaction with those people. And there's just nothing left by the next day.
Nice. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. So is there a particular type of gig that you prefer maybe over some other type of gig? What's your dream pirate gig look like?
I think the ultimate one is just walking a festival and playing here and there for people. It's that, again, that's that close-up magic improv.
Yeah.
But we really don't, I don't think, have a favorite. We don't really do reenactment much more because it wasn't as much fun for us because reenactment by nature requires you to get into a smaller and smaller and smaller box.
Sure.
To be accurate.
Yeah.
And so whenever I've been in that box within a day or two, I'm kind of a stark raving maniac if I need to get out of the box because my pirate persona and personality requires that. I think Delaware was our best trip so far. We went and did a gig for their Water Safety Festival.
Poseidon.
The Poseidon Festival in Bethany Beach, Delaware.
Okay.
And they asked us to do a stage performance, which included writing a play, an original play for them.
And a song, original song just for them.
We wrote an original song about water safety.
Okay.
And then while we're there, they said, "Oh, can you do another half hour for us?" And we're like, "Of what? We wrote the play for the time you told us." And so we just reset the mics real quick and did a half an hour of nautical music and with some history of pirates in the middle of it. And it was a great show. It was just four of us. They flew us all the way across the country to play pirates. I don't think it gets much better than that when somebody flies you somewhere to go play pirate.
Right. Yes.
So we know you were in Washington, and we go, Washington State.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we know you're in Washington State. Nobody else had your profile of what you do, and we're like, we're in Washington State. So it was a great trip to go.
The corporations, when they want that particular performer, they will make sure that it happens.
And that's one of the advantages of having that business model is because a lot of businesses get a little skitterish of hiring an organization that's not really, I'm not going to say not dependable, but more volunteer based.
Right.
When you run a business model and you can speak business with them, they're much more comfortable about that. And you're willing to sign the contracts and you're willing to back it up with action. So that I think is why we've done some really big things. I mean, huge conventions and getting flown to other parts of the country or even over into the Caribbean.
Nice. Is
that ability to deliver a larger project and speak that corporate mindset at the table when we're talking about an event.
Certainly. Yeah, absolutely. That makes a huge difference because they want you to act like pirates during the show, but not otherwise.
Yeah, it gets kind of scary when you're acting like a pirate in one of their meetings where you're trying to set a budget and some timelines and some deliverables. Yeah.
Now, how many people do you work with in your group?
Well, we have a core of the band, which is 4 to 5, sometimes 6 people who show up. There's outside of that, we have band plus, which can be up to, I'd say, 15 at times to show up for occasionally we'll do parades, but that usually just means that we do what we call a pre-raid. We don't actually walk the parade. Mm-hmm. We entertain before the parade.
Okay.
So the people who are standing around waiting for the parade to start, we're walking up and down the street doing our close-up.
Okay.
But doing it as a band. So we call ourselves a band of pirates and a pirate band.
Okay. Yes. Nice.
And we have a bunch of specialists we work with around the country that when we need some specialists, whether it's some people that can augment our fireworks that we have, our firepower.
Okay.
We mostly have pistols and we have a couple cannons, but people have larger cannons. We know we have some people that can breathe fire. They can do all sorts of different parts of the act. In the old days, it was tough to find those people.
Yeah.
Thank goodness there's now the internet and it's pretty easy to have a circle of friends that you can call upon.
To blow things up. Yeah.
It's fun to blow stuff up. It's pretty cool.
Love the booms.
It sounds like a really well-run, trustworthy group, which above all is what any of these corporate people hiring for these things really want, is just, can we trust you to not be idiots?
Right. It's the integrity of your word, and who wants to take the word of a pirate? But we're pretty true with our word.
Right.
We say we're going to be there. We're going to be there.
Oh, you know what else I saw on your site that I was curious about is the Cutthroat Island stuff. Tell me about where did you get it? Why did you get it? Why that movie?
It was a prolific movie for costuming and props and things that the movie went bust. And so they had to sell off everything in order to recoup the loss on the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually gave all the crates and crates of the materials to a organization. I can't remember the name. They're in California, though. And they were a charity. And so they started auctioning this stuff off. This back when Amazon ran an auction house.
Okay.
It's like an eBay. And so I jumped on it and started buying pieces left and right as much as I could. And back then things went pretty inexpensively.
Sure.
We have a coat, one of the beautiful embroidered coats from the ballroom scene that went for like $200. So I've always had kind of a love of that kind of genre. So we've bought some other pieces since then that go back into the 50s from Hollywood. I have the stunt doubles pants from the live action Peter Pan's Shmi's pants.
Okay.
We have the Noodler's pants.
We have the Noodler's pants. We have
shoes.
We have a replica off the original mold of Hook's cannon. I actually have the bell from the Morning Star from Cutthroat Island.
Nice.
Well, originally it wasn't such nice. I was ego bidding on eBay. It's like, I'll just kick it up a little bigger, and I ended up with it. Since then, I've come to love it, but initially I wasn't so happy that I spent that much money to buy a bell. Famously, I got into a bidding war for a couple doors from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Okay.
That were being surplused by the Mouse, and got into a bidding war. And right in the middle of that, I called the company was called Mouse Surplus. They surplused Disney property. And I called him up and I says, "Who am I bidding against?" He says, "I can't tell you, but it's a representative of somebody you might know." And I finally said, "Who?" And he said, "Johnny Depp. He wants them for his yacht." And at that time, Mouse Surplus owed me an awful lot of money because we were doing their website and other marketing for them. And I said, "How much can I bid on this?" And he says, "As much as you want to." And I finally let it go. I finally let him have the doors. But I ran him up a sizable amount before I let him have it.
You made him pay for it. Yeah.
Yep. He paid for it.
Well, as we know, Johnny Depp has no problem spending money, so I'm sure he was okay with that.
I know. I wish I would have run him up more now that I know his spending habits.
That's really great. Well, you guys, this has been really fantastic. Where is the best place online for people to keep up with what you're doing and find out more about you?
Piratesofthecoast.com, Pirates with a Y or an I. It doesn't matter. It goes to the same place.
Good job.
On Facebook, we have a site. Also, and Not For Sale, our band has a separate page on Facebook.
Okay.
And anybody that wants to learn more about my adventures can go to Amazon and look at for the book Memoirs of a Buccaneer, 30 Years Before the Mast. And it covers my 30 years, I think, at the time of my misadventures, I'll say. my found and lost loves and my adventures of pirating all over the Caribbean and the United States. It's as much a tutorial about how to be a pirate as it is a bunch of funny stories about dumb places I found myself in.
It's amazing he's alive. It's amazing.
Yeah, my one coworker read it.
Or not in jail.
And he says, "I don't know why you're not either dead or in jail."
Yep.
That was his recommendation.
That's very cool. When did the book come out?
It came out in 2011.
Okay.
So I'm actually working on the second 30 years. I've actually started writing it.
Nice.
So I have all my friends are like scared they're going to be in the book. But it pretty much picks off. It ended where I came back from Florida and I met a little boy at the Pirates in Paradise Festival, a little boy named Noah. And I taught him how to work a crowd. And we sat there at a bar and I taught him how to work a crowd and how to get money, how to get tips. And so I turned him into a performer then. And it was the best day ever, was playing with Noah. And he restored my faith in being a pirate. And so it ends right then when I went from Florida. And then the next book picks up when I came back to Seattle. And
that's fantastic. That's really cool. What prompted you to write a book?
Mostly because no one. I think there. Okay, I'm a storyteller by trade. That's what I do in life. I work for the state of Washington now, and so I'm kind of the storyteller for the state.
Okay.
And I just had a lot of. I've either been blessed or cursed with really good memory about what happened of things, and so these stories really became a chronicle of my life. And I just thought it was interesting for people who have known me to, like I said, not only learn where I came from, but learn how to be a pirate themselves if they take the lessons that are learned in there.
That's fantastic. I know there are a lot of people listening that will want to read that, including myself. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good romp.
Tell me the name of the book again.
It's Memoirs of a Buccaneer, 30 years before the mast. There's actually 3 books, Memoirs of a Buccaneer. One is Dampier, I think, wrote one. So there's 3 of them, but mine is obviously 30 years before the mast is the second part of that title.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm going to make sure that that's linked up too. Very cool. Oh, that sounds fascinating. That sounds like a fun read. Thank you guys for doing this. I really appreciate it. Did I forget to ask you anything that you want everybody to know about?
Yeah, I think the story of how Kat and I met is kind of funny.
Yes, let's go there.
We knew of each other on piracy.com for almost 10 years. I was in Florida. She was in Seattle. She actually tried to join my crew just after I arrived in Florida. And when I came back, we were still in proximity to each other, kind of. And we went to an event called A Pirate's Life for Us. Okay. And it's the first time we ever were next to each other or near each other.
Interacted with each other.
And I was immediately fascinated by her. And so I decided that I was going to start telling stories in the bar. And so I kept just telling more and more stories. It went from 10 o'clock to like 3 in the morning. I think.
We closed the bar down and they let us stay. And we were just having so much fun just sitting there talking with, not just the 2 of us, but there was like 5 of us sitting there just telling stories and laughing.
Okay.
And having a great time.
It's actually a year before we ever dated, but I was turning on the charm like crazy. But famously, we have a picture here in our house of the 2 of us that night. And I'll let Kat tell the other part of what is in the frame.
Well, our friends were saying, no, I just wanted you 2 to just look at each other and want to get a picture. And I could not look at him and keep a straight face. So I would keep just laughing. I finally got a picture of it. Well, by the end of the evening, he was telling these stories. And he had this story about a lady of the night who gave change.
Okay.
Oh, yes. The joke is she was a 2-bit hooker who gave change.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
That was the joke.
I said, well, I think the evening is over. And he throws down, he says, well, I don't have any change. I don't have a quarter or anything. I don't have 50 cents. I have $1. And he threw it down on the bar. I picked it up, tore it in half and said, there's your change. And we each kept the half of the $1.
For that next year, we kept it in our respective wallet and purse.
Yeah.
And when we first dated, she says, I still have my half of the $1. And I reached in my wallet and said, I do too. And that was the start of the whole thing.
That's a fantastic story. I like it. Well, fantastic, you guys. Great stories, great everything. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do it.
It's our pleasure. I'm sorry. Part of the band just arrived because we're having band practice after this. So they're a noisy lot. Lickety Split just walked in. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Thanks again.
And there it is, friends. That is my interview with Hurricane Robb and Crimson Kat from Pirates of the Coast. And like I said, that photo on the show notes at underthecrossbones.com/167 is from the very night that they met and had the dollar bill story where she tore the dollar bill in half. So you can go see that picture of the 2 lovebirds on the show notes right there. If you want to find out more about what they're up to, go to piratesofthecoast.com and you can check that out there. You can also find them and Not For Sale. That's not KNOT, Not For Sale, SAIL, because pirate pun. And those are on Facebook, Pirates of the Coast and Not For Sale. Check those out. If you're enjoying the show and you would like to help support the show, that would be fantastic of you. Just go over to underthecrossbones.com, click the support link, and that will take you to a page where you can do that. There's a PayPal box there where you can slip any amount of money that you feel is appropriate into the donation box right there. Maybe the price of a bottle of rum is a good guideline. Since I don't drink it, I'll just take the money and I'll buy ads with it. There's also an Amazon banner out there in that page. You're going out, you're doing your Christmas shopping and your holiday shopping and your stuff you're buying for yourself because it's on sale, right? Go to underthecrossbones.com, click the support page, click that Amazon banner, and that'll take you right over to Amazon, and then Amazon kicks me back a few pennies on the stuff that you buy, and it doesn't cost you anything. So that's a good way to do it. Also, if you want to be a sponsor of the show, like, say, Pyrates Clothing or Pirate Radio, The Treasure Coast, or Yellow Pine Publishing, or any of the other companies that have supported us over the years, that is cheap and easy to do. Again, go to underthecrossbones.com/support. There's some information right there, and we can hook you up. That's how it works. So, did you learn something from the episode? Did you hear something you wanted to jump in the conversation on, add to, correct us on, whatever? Come join us over on Facebook, facebook.com/underthecrossbones. That is a good place to discuss it. A couple other things I found out, or one other thing I found out, mouse surplus. If that was perking your ears up like it did mine, that thing doesn't exist anymore. I know. I was like, ooh, a place to get Disney surplus stuff? Yeah, they went out of business about 8 years ago, it appears. So that's a bummer. They're not even on eBay anymore. And anyway, so don't go looking for them. Also, you can get the link to Robb's book, Memoirs of a Buccaneer, 30 Years Before the Mast. You can get that in the show notes. That'll be there. Just click that. And you can buy Robb's book, so you support Robb. You go through my Amazon link, so you're supporting the show. And you get a pretty awesome book to read. Not even pretty awesome. I'm going to say, I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to say it's really awesome. So do that. Get Robb's book, Memoirs of a Buccaneer, 30 Years Before the Mast. We are sponsored today by Pirate Radio, The Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB. I locked the door. He's not coming in again. Sponsored by today, Pirate Radio, The Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB, playing the best music of today's hits and yesterday's classics. And Pirate Radio Talk. Go away, moron! Pirate Radio, The Treasure Coast, playing the best pirate shows, including Under the Crossbones, 24/7, all commercial free. Yeah, to listen, just go to pirateradiothetreasurecoast.com or hit the App Store and get the Pirate Radio WKKC-DB app. Or for the talk station, go to pirateradiotc.com or hit that old App Store for Pirate Radio Talk. That's the talk station. Or just ask your Google phone or your Alexa device. Say, hey, Google, hello, Google, whatever it is. I can't remember now. Or your Alexa, ask Alexa to play Pirate Radio, The Treasure Coast, or Under the Crossbones, or whatever you want to do, and it'll pop it right up for you there. All brought to you by iTreasure Radio, the very best digital media from independently owned stations at iTreasureRadio.com. I also have an ebook for you. If you're new to the show and you haven't heard about it yet, it's Alexander Exquemelin's Pirates of Panama, or Buccaneers of America by Alexander Exquemelin, which was redundant because I said Alexander Exquemelin at the beginning of that sentence. Sometimes my mouth moves and my brain is about a mile behind it. Anyway, this book was put out in 1678 originally, and Alexander Exquemelin was a doctor who ended up on pirate ships and wrote about his account of what happened on those ships. So this is firsthand, golden agey piratey kind of stuff, and I have got a nice little ebook version that you can grab at underthecrossbones.com. Click on the free ebook link at the top there, and you can get it. If you're out and about and all you have is your phone, grab your phone, text the word pirate and your email address to 94253. Text the word pirate and your email address to 94253. And that is our show for today, kids. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you slugging it through there with the weirdo coming in and all that kind of stuff. Again, if you want to find out more about Pirates of the Coast, go to piratesofthecoast.com. Check them out. And all the show notes for this episode are at underthecrossbones.com/167. I do have upcoming stuff for you. I got shows. They're going to happen, but I haven't recorded them yet. But some pretty cool, exciting stuff is coming up. So that's going to happen. By the time you are listening to this, I will have already recorded them. Things will be happening, and you'll have a show next week in your pod feed, like always. All right, so let's do that up, and I will see you next week. Be good to each other.